As summer gets into full swing, it is the perfect time to crack open a new book, read with your kids, or maybe even try out a new recipe. With more on her picks for this summer, I'm joined by Indigo founder and CEO Heather Reisman. Heather, good morning. Great to see you.
Hi, always great to be with you.
Usually we do this in person. It's a highlight, but we have to do it this way, given COVID. So let's begin with one of your picks, Book of Longings.
Yes, this is the wonderful new book from Sue Monk Kidd, who many people may remember from The Secret Life of Bees. And this is the most audacious idea that underpins this book. So this is the story of a young woman around the 1st century BC, a determined and quite brilliant young woman who falls in love with a young man named Jesus. And essentially, this imagines what would Jesus's life have been before he became the Jesus that we know, because we know nothing of his life before 30. But in fact, he was a young Jewish man. All young Jewish men married. And in the case of this story, he marries this most astounding 17 or 18-year-old. And the story that unfolds is their relationship and her life after he leaves to become an apostle, the leader of the apostles. It is the most incredibly woven love story set against the backdrop of everything that was happening at that time. I cannot tell you how delicious a read this book is, literally from the first paragraph.
Okay, I'm hooked. My hand is up. Okay, the next one is A Long Petal from the Sea.
Long Petal from the Sea from Isabel Allende, a wonderful writer. This book is inspired by a real-life moment when the famous poet Pablo Neruda helps a group of Spaniards who are escaping Franco's war to relocate and live in South America. And it is an unbelievably compelling story. Again, a love story at its heart, but set against the backdrop of so much that was happening around that time leading up to and including World War II, and how it is perceived from that part of the world. Okay. It is a beautifully written story, and it just is the intermixing of real-life events with the narrative of the love stories are quite wonderful.
Okay, one more from the fiction category, and that is Homegoing.
So Homegoing was a Heather's pick from 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, and I'm bringing it back because I think it's so relevant to now. This book starts in Ghana at the very beginning of what becomes the horrific slave trade. And the book follows the lives of two half-sisters, one who ends up marrying a very rich man, and at a moment in the book, she is living in a castle, and in the dungeon of that castle, her half-sister has just been taken as slave. And the book follows both of these women and their ancestors, and it does take you through what happens as the young slave girl comes to America, traces the entire set of events from her arrival through her descendants up through to Jim Crow time. So very timely, beautifully written, won Best New Fiction of the Year when it came out.
Okay, I've seen The Splendid and the Vile talked about a lot. It's been in the papers, it's obviously on your shelves. Convince us why, or why we should read this one.
I can't wait to tell you about this book. So this is was a nonfiction pick of mine just a very short time ago. I read it a few moments before COVID hit. This is the first year of Winston Churchill's term in office. And imagine, he takes office, the rest of his cabinet is not sure he's going to be good. They're within days of France falling to the Germans. Nothing good is happening. The Air Force is a mess. They know that the Germans are way stronger than them. And Churchill has to face that situation and provide enough courage to the people around him and to the entire British population. And when you think about what we're facing now, how much is upon us and how long this will last, think about what it was like to be leading Britain, and they were bombed by the Germans every single night for almost 9 months. So amazing story, so relevant to now, especially for people who want to think about how they provide leadership wherever they are to their families, to their companies. Fantastic story.
Okay, I'm going to trust you that it's not dry and boring because I do really want to read it.
No, it's not dry and boring, but it does have a lot of detail.
Okay.
But I loved it.
All right. We've got some kids' books to round it out. And that starts with The Collector and Firebird.
Okay, but you missed my favorite book.
I did?
You missed asking me about Stamped from the Beginning, which is really, it is my nonfiction. And the reason I want to get it in is there's an adult version and a young reader's version. And this actually traces the real story of racism, literally from Aristotle's time, but all the way through what we're experiencing in the US. And most of it is more recent and current history. And it is not dry and boring at all. So great book to have a discussion with if you've got a teenager and adults you can read together as a book club. So just want to share that. My two kids' picks, The Word Collector. Believe it or not, I was inspired to read this when I saw Michelle and Barack Obama read it out loud. This is a book for maybe 4 to 7-year-olds, and it's all about words, big words, little words they get defined, and it's about the beauty of words and how words help us communicate. And if you pick up this book, you will love it, and you can also watch the Obamas reading it. It's fabulous. And the other one is Firebird, and that is a story about a young ballerina, and written by Misty Copeland, the beautiful ballerina. And I think any 3 and 4-year-old little girl will just love this book, and maybe a little boy would love it too. It's absolutely fabulous.
And we could always use another cookbook in our collection, Mandy's Salads.
Mandy Salad. So I'm actually, myself, I am basically a plant eater. This book is not only plant-based food, it does have other food, but it is just the most wonderfully Canadian author, a beautiful book for summer cooking, easy to do recipes. I don't cook that much, and I've actually done some of the cooking in this book. Absolutely delightful summer cooking.
Great. Heather, it is great to see you. We know that times have been tough for retail.
Yeah.
We got to get out there and buy stuff, read books.
Read books. That's whether you buy stuff, that's less important, but read. It's wonderful. So yes. Okay.
Heather, thanks so much. All the best. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with more right here on CTV News Channel.